So, Zach, the Browns lose. The QB woes continue. Initial reactions, initial thoughts.
Man, just thinking of the last play, like the JSN play, where he just kind of beats our whole defense. That's the last thing that kind of sticks to my mind. It's
Oh,
like,
that's. I'm already wanting to cut you off. Getting
go.
past the whole defense with a DK Metcalf hold. With a bad DK Metcalf
It's
hold. The
true.
announcers were like, oh, he let go of the shoulder pads at the right time. What?
That's true. And the people out there will say you got two favorable calls the last game and even the game before that, and all
Mm-hmm.
you can do on offense is hope for an Amari Cooper drawing a PI. So there are both sides to this, but yeah, there is overall. Before you cut me off, two words in. Uh,
So sorry. But he didn't burn our whole defense. They drew up a decent play and DK Metcalf got under Martin Emerson's shoulder pads. And they were sticking up as he was chasing after Smith and Jigba. Just
yeah,
just pointing that out.
and the refs, his eye was closed on that part of the field. Yeah,
And
man.
yes, we have gotten some favorable calls in the last two games. So I'm not going to say that we haven't had it happen to us. It's just, you got to call it out when it happens. The refs are bad. The refs
No, I'm with you. I
are
want
bad.
you to say that. I want you to interrupt me because, guys, end of the day here, I'll keep it TLDR for now. I don't feel good, and I think the Seahawks. We'll talk about the defense. We'll really break that down for you on what we think's going on, and just doesn't feel good. We have no offense. It's like turn the channel when the offense is on if you want to have a good day. You know?
I mean, I feel like we saw some promising things from the running game. I think Kareem had a solid game,
Pierre.
and Pierre had a very solid game, and Jerome Ford toughed it out. He had a high ankle sprain, and he still played, I think, 9 or 10 snaps, or got 9 or 10 carries. He played more than that in terms of snaps,
Mhm.
but our running backs are toughing it out, and Kevin is finding ways to make PJ Walker look like maybe he deserves to be in the NFL. And the bottom line is he doesn't.
Only Browns fans know that to be true. Because if you ask everyone else, they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, I kind of had good stats, right?" It's like, no, if you watch every snap of what he does, you're wondering, like, dude, maybe I could be in the NFL. Is there a way for me to like lie about my resume? Like do something to be in that position? Because I, for real, think I can fling it a little better than he does, and who am I? So it looks awful. He looks awful.
Yeah, he's not good, but that's okay. He's got a lot of heart, and he's been lowering his shoulder on some QB runs, which you don't love to see, but you also love to see. You're like, please don't get injured. We don't have anyone else, but I love that you're giving it your all. I love that you're giving it your all, PJ. You'll definitely get an award at the end of season for trying really hard.
If we had a third string, I completely agree. If we had a third string, I don't care about our second string. Die on the field, whatever. DeMar Hamlin, get off the field. I don't care. Obviously, like, I hope you feel good, but it's like go in for that extra yard, do that quarterback sneak. Quick question: any news on right now on Deshaun? We're about midweek. This will come out on Wednesday. Any news right now on Deshaun? Are we hopeful?
No, the most recent article to come out about him was like, Deshaun is hopeful that he might play, which
Hmm.
is about as non-committal as you could expect. He's consistently non-committal right now about playing, and we'll get into the Cardinals talk. But I think he really needs to play against a Cardinals team that wants to lose, so that he can get a win under his belt. But we'll get into that more in a second. I mean, we're one bad play call away from winning this game. Um, and without that play call, I think we're walking away from this game saying, wow, Kevin outcoached Pete Carroll. Basically, after the first two drives the Seahawks had, he outcoached him all game. Um, I mean, the Seahawks went up 2 touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
nil, and it looked bad. It looked really bad. But the defense buckled down. The offense got creative. Pierre Strong had a big screen play, and then Njoku had a funky screen play for a touchdown. Kevin was pulling out all the stops, and he was getting the run game going. Um, but yeah, I mean, what are you thinking over here? Like, do you think that that late pass play call on 3rd and 3 with 2 minutes and 3 seconds left is completely overshadowing the fact that Kevin had a really good coaching game otherwise?
I don't know if he had a great coaching game. I don't know if I agree like 100% with this. And it could be just because of that call. It Sometimes I think he gets in that position where if he's like, I ran twice, can't run a third time, they'll know it. And then he like tries to do something very cute as we've been talking. It did get overshadowed because at the end of the day, like this is a week to week game, and you either win, you lose, or you tie, and we lost to a team that we should have won, and we got down strong and came back. We should be able to put 3 wins together. Like we have to do that if we think that we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. It has to have building on top of wins, but honestly, take a step back and I think about PJ Walker, and I'm maybe impressed. Are you impressed with what he's done with PJ Walker? I guess that's a good way to look at this. Huh?
Yeah, I'm crazy impressed. He beat the 49ers, who, 3 weeks have changed a lot of things about the 49ers, but we really thought that they were the NFL juggernaut. And
Yeah.
PJ Walker slayed the dragon there. And then he eked out a win against the Colts. And we should have won this game. Ultimately, I don't even think Jamal Adams meant to tip that ball. It hit him in the head. Um, and it was just a bad call. And honestly, if we have to play with PJ Walker again this week, he should have more designed runs and he should be sliding more. He should have more plays where it's a fully designed pass play where he holds the ball for 2 seconds and then just takes off and gets 3 or 4 yards, because our defense, they gave up 2 touchdowns, but then we went on I think it was, we scored 17 or 20 points unanswered. They had no response. Our defense completely buckled up, and Kevin got into his bag, man. Like this quarterback is so bad. And we have we have more turnovers than any other team in the league, and we have consistently the worst quarterback play in the league so far this year. And we have a winning record. We've beaten really good teams. I'm crazy impressed by Kevin Stefanski. Yes, he gets in his head. He overthinks it. He gets too cute. He should have just called a running play. I mean, that's 4th down territory. You're in the middle of the field. Let Kareem run it. He'll probably get the first, but if he doesn't, have Harrison Bryant go out there on 4th and 1 and do a QB sneak or what. Just don't throw the ball with PJ. Don't throw the ball with PJ.
Uh, you asked me the question, and now we ended, and I have a different take on Stefanski. Like, I see your point. I think it's a very important thing to think about. You get bogged down in this era of social media where you either want to fire somebody or rehire someone or extend somebody. And to think of what Kevin's done with PJ Walker, I think 2 things can be true. Like, I don't think he's a Kyle Shanahan type of coach, but I do think he's doing a great job with the cards he's been given. And now thinking about it, like when I'm playing Madden, when I have a 68 overall, man, my playbook is like this big. I don't, you can't do much. You can't throw to the star wide receiver to any, like our best way of offense is throw it to Amari Cooper, and not just like throw it to him, just get it within a 50-mile radius of him, and let's just, everyone who prays, let's do a quick prayer, and then, let's just hope for the best. And this guy's job's on the line while he's calling those plays.
And we have a lot of wide receivers who are completely underutilized, but that's because of the quarterback play. That's not because of Kevin.
Yeah.
We just traded Donovan Peoples-Jones today, and it's because I think he has less than 5 catches for the year. And DPJ, I think, has had 800 yards like 2 of the last 3 seasons or something like that. And he's just become a player that we can't throw to because we don't have competent enough quarterback play to throw contested balls. Kevin has to design a play that will have a high success rate. And he's been doing it with screens, with all these kind of funky things. Yeah, some of them aren't great, but I mean, we're a play away from beating the Seahawks, and we're a play away from beating the Steelers. We would be 6-1 if he didn't make 1 or 2 missed calls here or there, or some missed calls by the refs. He's coached really well this season. he does have some misses, but who doesn't?
You say really well. I say he's coached well. I don't want to give him the really yet. But there is something that is kind of people are talking about our defense. We get off to a slow start against the Seahawks, and now there's a little more questions, even though we got some takeaways. Tom, is this defense trending in the right or wrong direction right now?
I feel like, on paper they're trending in the wrong direction, but that's just because they had an absolutely historic start. I think the performance that they had against the Seahawks is a much more realistic and attainable thing for this kind of defense, where maybe we get a few looks that weren't ready for at the top of a game, but then we absolutely dominate the rest of the whole game. And even that final drive, like I said, they don't score a touchdown if they don't have a missed holding call. They scored 2 touchdowns, and this team has a ton of weapons. I called them the discount 49ers. They've got 3 good wide receivers. Tyler Lockett looked unbelievable at the beginning of this game, and then he disappeared. DK Metcalf was not a problem at all, except for holding. And Smith and Jigba had one nice play designed for him at the end. Kenneth Walker's a dog. And Geno Smith looked like the bust that he kind of is. I mean, and if we're going to start giving up more yards and or more points, we need to get turnovers, which we did. Martin Emerson with one of the best picks of the year, and Maurice Hurst with the best pick of the year. I mean, look at that. Look at that big boy. He tipped it to himself. And it's that kind of like, that's when you can tell this guy's a good athlete. Like, he's probably good at basketball. He's probably good at other sports. He tips it up in the air, and because he hit it, he knew where it was going. Like, there was a play last week where Miles hit it up, and Dalvin Tomlinson didn't see him hit it up, and it fell and almost like grazed his belly, and he didn't catch it. And it was just kind of one of those moments where it's like, maybe he needs higher awareness, but it's, because he didn't tip it, it's so much harder to know what's happening. But Maurice Hurst tipped it and was like, I can go get that. What a frickin' play. What an addition. Like, maybe the biggest addition we made in the offseason that we weren't even sure if he was going to fully make the team.
Yeah, I just love his hungry dance that he does. And so anytime I can see that, it's like, that's a beautiful play. And people, like, we have to realize, we say this week in and week out, your defense, if you see your offense and you're like, as hard as I play today, PJ Walker is going 3 and out, total 4 yards. Yeah, let me go play super hard. You can do that the first quarter, second quarter, halftime. You're probably like, man, am I on the right team? Then the third quarter, like, that's when you see teams kind of take it to either like take it to us in the past when our defense had no hope. But I think the big question here that we were kind of talking about is is it close to losing the locker room? Is that something that you can see soon? And just off the top of your head, real quick, what week is the locker room lost? If we're trending in losing these close games, is it when we're out of the playoffs totally? Or if we don't see Deshaun against the Cardinals, against the Ravens, is that when the riot's happen in Cleveland?
I think if we lose to the Cardinals, the city of Cleveland will burn. But I don't know if there's a week on it. I think it's really just like, when do the veterans on this team get sick of Deshaun? And I go back and forth on this all the time, because there's legitimacy to his injury, and it's micro tears. It's stuff that it's really hard to anticipate how long it's going to affect somebody. And we gave this guy 230 guaranteed. We have to see it through. But on the other side, he was cleared to play over a month ago. So I don't know what the right thing to say about this. But yeah, I guess it's if his teammates turn on him, because they might be done with this guy sooner rather than later. I mean, the defense is playing unbelievable football. They're putting us in so many opportunities to win games. Miles had a late game sack that was huge. And I've said this before, you have to capitalize when you have opportunities. And it's really hard to say that all we can do is hope that Deshaun, the person that we haven't been able to rely on at all we can do is hope that he comes out and plays all right. Not even great, just all right.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about whether or not Deshaun Watson is going to play. And speaking of Deshaun Watson playing, Tom, week 9 against the Cardinals, hopeful, depressed? Does it matter which QB plays? Should we still smack him?
Yes to your last question. We should still smack them no matter which quarterbacks are playing. I guess the only caveat to that is if Kyler Murray plays, but he hasn't played since he tore his ACL last year, and I don't know. They as a franchise should not want to win any games this year. We were kind of hoping that this would be a Josh Dobbs reunion game where we would play against him, but he got traded today to the Vikings because the 4-4 Vikings think that they can win with Josh Dobbs. So all power to him, but don't really see that being as fruitful of a trade as maybe they hope. So it looks like the Cardinals are most likely going to start rookie Clayton Tune, who I had not heard of until today. He played for the University of Houston for 5 years. We should absolutely eat his heart. I think our defense should outscore their offense. And there's been even more of a lack of clarity from our side with who's going to start at quarterback. There are reports that it won't be PJ Walker, and it could be Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They might throw the rookie out there again and give him another chance. So if it's rookie versus rookie, I guess it doesn't matter. But at the same time, like, a win's a win, and you absolutely need to take it when you can get it. So if you think you can win with PJ Walker, just win another game with PJ Walker and, crown him the guy with the most heart in the league. But there is a shred of hope that Deshaun decides to suit up this week. And if I was him, before the weather fully turns and before these games start getting harder and harder, I would go out there and play and get a win. Because, we saw what it looked like last year when he didn't play for the first 11 weeks, and then his first games were in the cold. He looked cold. He looked bad. He looked rusty. We are still making excuses for the way he played last year. But I don't know. What are you thinking about for this game? The Cardinals should be trying to lose. So how do we not win?
Yeah, good question. Listen, we don't win this game if we don't know who's starting at quarterback until an hour before. Honestly, I sound like a broken record. Here's the thing. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, we set him up to fail. Okay, we gave him 2 hours to throw the ball and think about preparing. I would love to see him with a week. We're recording now on Tuesday. He's not going to see a week because Kevin is non-committal to PJ Walker. I agree. PJ Walker, if we can do it with him, let's just do it. There's huge questions going around Deshaun. Like you mentioned, it's getting cold. It's weird because there's no timeline. Every injury in this world goes 4 to 6 weeks. We'll check back in. We'll be day to day. Why is there a report of he'll play and he's definitely not playing every single day? That means there's conflicting information, and we were never sold on him. So I hope he plays this game, but I think if he plays this game, he'll take a hit and he'll go back right out because that's the type of relationship I think he has with Jimmy and D. So we should beat him. Is James Conner playing? Do you know?
I don't think he's been activated from the injured reserve yet.
Okay, so no James Conner. We should win this game. What does that mean as a Browns fan? You're filling the blank there, Tom. What do you think?
I said it earlier, and I'll stick by this. I think our defense should outscore their offense. I don't care if Dustin Hopkins makes 6 field goals this game. We should win this freaking game. They are in tank mode, and if I was the Cardinals, I would hope we lost this game. So, and it's in Cleveland, and we're better in Cleveland. There's no excuse to lose this kind of game, and it doesn't matter who they have at quarterback and who we have at quarterback. And it's the only time I'm going to say that all year, that it doesn't matter who's playing at quarterback for either team. We should 100% win this game. And if we're coming off this week 4-4, I might ask to stop doing the podcast. But but
You don't have to ask.
but no, I mean, we have Ravens and Steelers after this. We have to build toward something. We can't go in there with no identity, which we have an identity at this point. It's our defense is good and most of our offense can play well, but our quarterback whoever's playing at quarterback is the worst in the league. It doesn't matter.
Honestly, I really like rookie on rookie. I think
That
that's
would be
probably
fun.
that's the storyline that makes it fun. We're both on a level playing field. Miles gets to sack another guy that might not be in the league anymore after in a couple of years, and so I think it's good for both parties. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on the train where I want to see DTR. I want to see them commit to him on Wednesday, and I want, instead of 2 hours, I want him to have 2 days of preparation before, and let's just see, because the way that we were glazing in the preseason, I am sure thousands of jerseys were bought by Browns fans of DTR in the preseason, and probably a few burned, but they just didn't know how to upload them on Twitter, and so it's not a big deal. What is a big deal? The trade deadline happened today. We signed Kenyon Drake to our practice squad, so hopefully then we'll elevate him there. Got rid of Donovan Peoples-Jones. Tom, did the Browns do enough? Take our listeners through kind of the additions that we made, and man, should we sign a free agent quarterback?
The fact that we didn't go after a free agent quarterback or trade for a quarterback yet, at least, means that they think Deshaun is going to play. And if not this week, next week. Like, they have to believe that, because we have cap. We don't have a ton of assets, but we have cap, and Andrew Berry's smart enough to figure out how to make deals happen. I think, this page is full of players, and there was a lot of other players I was eyeing just in case. Like, Devontae Adams is very unhappy in Las Vegas. I was like, can we somehow give them something that they want and steal him away from there? But, ultimately we didn't go for Jacoby, which was the most logical move in terms of cap, fit, everything. Like, everything about that deal would have made sense. And we didn't get a left tackle because Jedrick Wills has been trending up. We're keeping him. I don't think we're worse, but we got rid of Donovan Peoples-Jones, who has been a good wide receiver. I think he's gotten 800 yards like 2 of the last 3 years, but he has like no catches this year. And it's just because our quarterback play has been so bad. All of our passing plays have been either for running backs or it's Cooper, then Njoku, and then Elijah Moore has been getting a bone thrown to him every once in a while. And he's played well the last couple of games, so I'm not going to totally trash Elijah Moore. I think Kevin's just still figuring out how exactly to use him, because he's a good athlete, but he's an interesting athlete. He's not completely a burner. But I don't know, man. I was really hoping for some sort of big move, just to say that we're going all in this year. Our defense is playing absolutely lights out. You just want to feel like your team is doing everything they can to win, especially when you already have a winning record.
But we did. We in the offseason, we signed Zadarius. We made our D
Yeah.
great. Like,
I completely agree with that.
We put in, if we get a wide receiver, he's not promised that if you get it over 5 yards, the wide receiver is going to be able to catch the ball. So I guess if you look at our wide receiver room, though, do you think we got worse letting go of a wide receiver, or we were always just where we are?
No, Donovan Peoples-Jones was in a contract year, and he is having the worst year of his career. So we weren't going to pay him anyway. Better to get a 6th-round pick back for him, which is what we used to get him. And like I've said, our quarterback play is so bad that we haven't been able to give some of the younger guys any opportunities. Tillman has been a healthy scratch for a few weeks, which is a story we've not been talking about. But Cedric Tillman has just not suited up for a couple of games, which is, I don't know why. There's really not a good reason for it or an explanation, and he's not a prominent enough player for people to be talking about it at all. But I would absolutely love it if he got some opportunities as a third wide receiver. And David Bell, 3rd-round pick from last year, also has one huge catch this year in 4th down against the Niners.
Such a beautiful catch.
It was unbelievable. It was absolutely amazing.
Kept
but I
us
think
going.
other than that, he has 5 to 10 catches also. He's, I guess, done better than DPJ, but Yeah, our quarterback play needs to be better before we know if any of these guys are any good. And I think that getting rid of DPJ creates opportunities for other people, but not much. So I guess we'll see.
We'll see. Overall, man, we
Yeah,
didn't get Jacoby, and I wanted
the
him. I wanted him.
the biggest asset we can get is Deshaun to actually play, and that's the bottom line. So let's go ahead and pivot to Cavs talk. Cavs have started the season a little bit shorthanded. Jared Allen hasn't played. Darius Garland, I think, has missed 2 games now. So we're off to a slow start. We're 1-2, but any cause for concern? And I also wanted to ask: is there any players that you think are notably playing better or worse than what you expected?
I'll start with the second question. Niang has no defensive upside to him, and I think I just thought he would be a little more impactful than Max Strus is. So I would say yeah, maybe Niang. I don't know if he's just learning like the way he's playing with our guys, but Strus is like I had a jersey in my cart ready to go after the first game, and I didn't do it, but. Strus has been really, really, really fun to watch. I will say, I'm not willing to cause a lot of concern. We're 1-2. I was looking into it. So last year, DG and Mitchell played 48 games together. That's not that many games out of 82 game season. The way we're already starting off right now, what did they coin our 4 people that we have, like the big 4 or whatever? Jared Allen has still not playing. We have one TNT game this year, which is on Tuesday, the third Halloween, and we might only really have Donovan Mitchell playing. I mean, of course, with Evan Mobley. So it just doesn't feel like we can get to a point of a championship if we don't have our guys play meaningful games together. And we're 3 games in, but we lost 2 very close games. And I think that has to do a lot with, if you look at coaching, a coach is supposed to be able to swing the last minute or 2 and make the plays that we need. And then one last thing I'll say before I kick it off to you. We had 7 guys score last game against the Pacers, and we didn't put Imani Bates in when we were shorthanded. JB, once again, is not playing the people that we want him to play. We saw this with Lamar Stevens. We saw this with Dean Wade when he was doing really well. And I think that's just something to just put a little flag in this book and say, man, dude, if you're really not taking that shot with Imani when we have nobody playing, what does that say about how you trust this depth? Because depth is a huge problem with this team.
Um, did Imani play a little bit in the second game? Because he got time in one of these 2 games. He got a little bit of time in one
I
of
think
them.
with OKC, that was the second game.
Okay.
But nothing
But no,
against the Pacers.
he should get opportunities right now, especially when we're shorthanded. And uh, so I'll just say I'm not worried yet. I don't think there really is much to worry about. We're shorthanded, and I don't think any of these injuries are long-term injuries. They're just kind of minor tweaks here or there. I mean, it's 82 game season, and these guys over the course of the game run a couple of miles. Like it's just as much an endurance game as it is, a skill based athletic game. Um, I want to give some flowers to Isaac Okoro, who has kind of been thrown into a weird position. He had to start at power forward in the first game, and he had 18 points. He played tough defense. They're kind of throwing him around everywhere. I want to say Isaac, Mobley, Garland, all of them look a little thicker. Like just enough where you're like, oh, you're not going to get pushed around as much as you have in the past. But Isaac Okoro looks good. He looks more confident in his 3-point shot, but he's a good enough athlete that he's a gadget player. You can kind of throw him on anybody, and we are lucky to have him. It is his contract year, so he's going to be playing with his hair on fire all season. We might not sign him because hopefully he has a good enough year that we can't afford him. That would be great for us. Because right now he's playing really well. And then Mobley, I think it was against the Pacers, had like 33 or something.
33, yep.
He had a huge game. So love seeing the guys step up. And Mitchell's played well. He's played kind of as you'd expect. The one thing that I would say was pretty alarming against the Thunder was we had a very cold start of the game where even though we added some new shooters, it looked like we could not buy a bucket. Like, I think there was one point when we were like 2 of 20 from 3 in the first half where it was like, oh gosh, flashbacks of last year. That is concerning. That is exactly what we tried to buy our way out of in the offseason. But I guess we're a streaky team, which means your defense needs to be elite, which it was last year, except for in the playoffs, and it needs to be this year. I'm glad we gained some weight, and I'm glad we've held on to some athletic people. I think you're right, Yang is not a defensive presence at all, but Strus surprisingly is. He's gotten a few like clutch steals at different points. So I'm A+ on Strus. Tonight we play against the Knicks, and it's our first game against them since we got punked in the playoffs. And there's a few things to watch here, but my number one thing is I want Donovan Mitchell to dominate in this game. I want him to kick their ass, and I want him to make a statement like, I'm happy where I am. If we're winning, I'm happy here. And I don't want to, just kind of throw my hands up and say, well, I did everything I could. I'm just going to play with the Knicks next year. What do you think about the game tonight? Are there big implications, or it's just the 4th game of the season? It doesn't matter.
Listen, every single game matters. They tell stories. The thing that JB Bickerstaff said, though, they asked him, the same question you just asked me. Does this game matter? Does it game matter more because of what happened against the Knicks? And he's like, yeah, we're all human. We obviously remember what happened last year. It obviously, every game you find something to latch onto. So this is what they're latching onto. Donovan Mitchell is questionable going into what will be Tuesday's game when you guys see this. And so the thing you're looking out for, I'm looking out for is he going to go from questionable to playing? Because that will tell me a lot about where his heart is and if he wants this one back. We don't have no DG this game. We're still missing Jared Allen. Jared Allen, this game aside, but man, on defense, do we miss him. We go from being one of the best defensive teams to one of the worst, and you're just taking Jared Allen out of that paint. The way that he forces people to change their shots, his presence, his rebounding, we're missing it. Jones is not even close to an answer. We're seeing Evan at the 5, and I don't like Evan at the 5. I like him at the 4. So JA not being here is huge. Mitchell Robinson, like the Knicks have length. The Knicks will love to be. This is like a Knicks game to win, and then they'll riot. And they'll be like, yeah. So
after like when they beat Trae Young one game in the playoffs, they're like, we own you. And then they got absolutely
they
rocked.
Literally riot. Like they were all on the street like, New York Giants bacon nugget cheese. And then they were like nowhere to be found. All right, guys.
God,
calm down.
I can't stand New Yorkers. They suck.
They do suck. But this game is on TNT, which it has a special place in my heart. I love Ernie Johnson. I love the crew. And this is the kind of game where if we win huge and we put a statement. Like, we will become a talking point in tomorrow's NBA dialogue and all this stuff, which is what we need for our players to feel confident and, get out there. But one last thing is, man, primetime game, Tom, I would love to see Imani Bates out there. Like, come on. Throw him out there.
That'd be awesome. I mean, especially knowing it's primetime. The kid is primetime. He's ready to go out there and play.
He'll hit a shot.
Make some big shots. Also, the real primetime on this team in terms of the next 5 years is Evan Mobley. So it would be awesome if he had another big game, stayed with this trend of dropping 30. Because he's obviously capable because he's young enough, he's athletic enough, and he's big enough to have 30 and 20 kind of games. And he can absolutely go out there and dominate. And I'd love to see if the added weight helps him against the Knicks bigs that kind of dominated us last year.
Absolutely. And Mobley, I love watching him on defense as well because he's so good at, after 2 seconds moving his feet, and watch him on defense. Watch how he changes everyone's shots and that is huge. Him and JA, that's why it's similar to the Browns, where you're like, man, if you started, I can judge you. But since you don't, I can't really judge you. I will just, last thing I'll say about this team, they're fun to watch. They're really fun to watch. So I'm excited to continue this journey and just, see where this goes. We're at the low point, we're 1-2, but let's trend up in the right direction. Let's get a good regular season, and then let's continue this on to the playoffs. That's all that matters with this team.
Agreed. Well, guys, thank you again for tuning in to episode 9 of the Witnesses podcast. We had a good time. We hope you did as well. Thank you for sticking with us. We are growing, baby. We are evolving. We are getting better, just as Cleveland sports is. So, Zach, let's get out of here. You ready to go?
I'm ready.
TWP. Peace. Hey, you still there?
Hey, I'm here, man.
Hey, good to know, because this is the part of the podcast that we're going to go over some hot topics. This is some extra content for y'all. This is the things that we're going to chop up into shorts later, but it's the fun hot topics. So we're just going to rifle them off. You're going to get to hear us go fishing for trolls. That's what we're looking for right now. So this is the silly content. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope you enjoy this portion. So Zach, on my left we have the new look LA Clippers, and on the right we have the 2013 Brooklyn Nets. Now, can you spot the difference?
Washed up superstar. Beyond his prime. Now, I don't honestly know. Can you? What's going on?
These are two super teams. And by super, I mean first round exit?
James Harden kicked himself out of every single team, calling people liars, and, let me be clear, calling people liars twice. Any team James Harden is on, whoever is in that conference, just go ahead and, add another one to where you are, because you're climbing up, they're going down. And Playoff P, best thing about Paul George in the last 2 years, his podcast.
Agreed. And, I felt like this was a good home for Russell Westbrook to kind of get his ish together, but you add James Harden, he's going to go right back to his ways of just being a little angry little turd. LeBron's calling the room together. Hey, guys, great team win, but, we got some things to talk about. And do you remember what I'm talking about when Westbrook was like, yeah, but what's important is that we have fun.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, are we all in our 30s, or what's going on here? Are we playing rec ball? Yeah, no shade to the Brooklyn Nets of 2013, but they were a complete disaster, so all shade. And this Clippers team has been probably the most disappointing, combination of players, I think, in my lifetime. And I don't put that lightly.
Absolutely. Think about what Playoff P did to get out of Oklahoma City after signing that extension, after throwing a huge party with Russell Westbrook 2 months before that extension and being like, nah, I'm back. Tom, what do you think a dinner table talk is like between these four guys? Is there any what are they talking about? Where's the strip club? Where's the strip club? We can't go to strip clubs.
Hey, you got to flatten your beard. Let me get that out of there. I don't know, man. These guys, if this team was put together in 2015, you would say this is the best team that ever existed by far. And I don't even know if this is a playoff team.
So Francis Ngannou, MMA heavyweight champion, made his boxing debut against the greatest boxing heavyweight of all time, Tyson Fury. It's controversial decision. Tom, did you agree with the decision? And did this just make boxing look silly?
I did not agree with the decision. I love seeing the side-by-side of their faces after the fight, because Tyson Fury looked like he got his ass whooped. And Ngannou looks the same, the way he did before the fight. I talked earlier about celebrity boxing being the final nail in the coffin of boxing, and this is just another nail in the coffin. It's definitely entertaining. it's definitely fun to see these mega fights, but it takes away all legitimacy. I mean, if you had like Justin Verlander go throw a 99 mile per hour fastball to who's the hot dog eating champion? What's his name? Joey Chestnut. If he threw a fastball to Joey Chestnut and Joey Chestnut hit it out of the park, you'd go, "Oh, I guess baseball's just fucking easy."
Yeah, that's true. Tyson Fury's face, whole like bloodied up. Tyson Fury, who had no respect for Ngannou, already inks a fight with Usyk, who for the heavyweight title in December. 2 months after he's supposed to fight, got beat so hard, he goes, "It's on my term. I'm not seeing you in December. Thank God I didn't put the title on the line on this fight, and I'll see you next year." Then you think about the McGregor and the Floyd fight, and you go, man, because I'm thinking it was rigged, and it shouldn't have been that close, but I'm like, McGregor almost made Mayweather look like trash. This is a bad stain on boxing. Terrible month of October for boxing. Dylan Dennis, Logan Paul make boxing look like trash, and then Ngannou, who's like, "Yeah, man, I thought there's a 10th round. I thought it was the second. Like, I don't know how to box. I was just punching." And then Fury's like, "Oh, he's just awkward. He's just so awkward." Like, is the Fury family the new LeVar Ball family?
They really are. I mean, again, they are entertaining, but John Fury keeps taking his shirt off. He took his shirt off at the weigh-ins and stood in front of his son and Ngannou. Like, what are you doing, buddy? Definitely entertaining, but it's not to be taken seriously. If I was a proud boxing fan, right now I'd be embarrassed, but I'm not. So 3 weeks ago, 49ers were 5-0, juggernaut of the NFL, number one overall power ranking, and now they're 5-3. Did the Browns just completely dispel everything about them? Did they show the chink in the armor? What's the truth here, Zach?
The truth is, no exaggeration, the Browns killed Brock Purdy's soul so hard, he lost all his confidence. Brock Purdy, who has a roommate as a starting quarterback, is probably crying to his roommate right now. Probably eating leftover spaghetti because he doesn't have the will to cook anything else. Tom, the Browns ruined Brock Purdy. They're 5-3. Will they ever win another game?
You know, who's to say? I mean, they went out and they got Chase Young, which was a really big move. I mean, I think if they were serious about winning, they would have went out and gotten like a decent quarterback, like Baker Mayfield, or they would have checked in on Jameis Winston if they were serious about winning this year. But They go ahead and they get another blue chip defensive player because they're confident in this guy who is, I'm sorry, just a guy. Just a guy. And he will not win anything of importance.
Yeah, I don't think he's Joe Montana. I think if you ask a 49ers fan, he's close. If you ask anyone who knows anything about football, Baker Mayfield is an upgrade, just like our experts here said. R.I.P. to Kirk Cobain's Kirk Cousins, carted off the field with an Achilles injury. Tom, initial thoughts about losing QB's finest, Kirk Cousins?
It's sad. The Vikings were a fun story. I think they were 1-4 at one point, and they have worked their way up to being 4-4. They just kind of put a whooping on the Packers, who look like ass, by the way. But it's sad. Kirk gets a lot of disrespect. Maybe he deserves it, but you hate to see the Achilles tear. Do you think that Achilles tear expert Aaron Rodgers is going to have some voodoo magic to help him get that thing healed up real quick?
Well, they're great friends, obviously. They both said ew to the vaccine, and they'll probably heal way better since they didn't get the vaccine. Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee broke the news that Kirk Cousins called him, and he just told him it's up to you how fast you want to come back. Me, I want to come back right away. Do you? So he's definitely calling Aaron Rodgers Neil arbitrage, and not being in the testing pool right now, if you guys know what I mean, except Christian Kirk, the best Christian Kirk, Cousins. I don't think he would do what Aaron Rodgers does, because Aaron Rodgers is kind of a no-good kind of guy. It's very sad to see Kirk Cousins carted off the field.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but he does have that crazy quote of "I will, if I die, I die." Hey, embrace modern science. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong about things. Um, yeah, and gosh, Aaron Rodgers saying what was the quote? He said, "If you want to get back soon, it's up to you." Wow, sounds like an expert. Sounds like somebody who's really well learned.
Oh, he's a genius, and he's a good family man. Has a great relationship with his family. Has good roots. He's just a good overall guy.
Yeah.
This University of Michigan cheating scandal just got crazier. So apparently, Ryan Day's brother, who's an ex-DEA agent, might have started the probe into Michigan football. The Washington Post came out with an article linking a private investigative firm is the one who notified the NCAA about some wrongdoings. Ryan Day's brother owns a private investigating firm. Ryan Day, coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Tom, is Ryan Day helping OSU on and off the field?
Well, it sounds like he is, and it sounds like his family's involved. Now, I don't know. I mean, Michigan, they really poo-pooed on Michigan State after the tunnel incident last year, and they really poo-pooed on Ohio State after the Terrell Pryor signature incident. And it turns out they've been cheating at a more egregious level than truly anybody else in college football has in recent memory. Do you think that Jim Harbaugh is going to stay with the team? There were some rumors that came up that his contract was going to be rescinded. Now, those have recently been redacted, those comments, but he's not allowed to talk about it amid the investigation. So that means it might not be finalized. Where do you stand with this?
I hope he stays because the University of Michigan sucks under Jim Harbaugh. I think he'll do a little, he'll probably go to Thailand like Cliff Kingsbury and not coach for a year and then come back and miraculously come to the NFL when the sanctions clear up in like 10 years. I don't, Jim Harbaugh's a bad coach. Am I wrong about that?
I mean, he's ran from everything he's done. He ran from, I think he was in Stanford, and then he ran from the 49ers, and now he's about to run from Michigan. But there's just a special version of him running from Michigan amid all this cheating. It's just crazy. It's just crazy that people have anything bad to say about Ohio State when this frickin' guy is getting paid. Wow. So, Zach, the namesake of the podcast, LeBron James, recently had this still taken of him mid-game. Look at those hops. There's no way this guy is 38 going on 39 in December. I think he's got 2 more championships in him. What do you think?
I think at least 2 makes sense. Probably another one in Cleveland, and then you'd have to think one with the Lakers, and that's a minimum 2. But then you go 3 because he's gonna, play with another son, probably in Charlotte and the new Seattle, Las Vegas team that gets made. Really impressive. This is another check mark into the LeBron column where LeBron versus Jordan truly is not a debate at this moment because of LeBron's proven longevity. Would you agree? Longevity. Year 21 of Bron Nem. Is this a huge FU to Michael Jordan?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the longevity of LeBron's career is the difference in the argument. And the NBA is way better now than it's ever been. Yes, they were more physical back in the day, but that's because people didn't know how to slide their feet. LeBron is dominant as ever, heading into his 20th season. And I think that's a great point that he could bounce around to some other crappy teams just for his sons. But how cool would it be if he was the first person to bring Seattle a championship and Las Vegas a championship and Charlotte a championship? If there's anybody who could do it, it's LeBron James.
I mean, after that, he better run for president because he will get a lot of depressed fans on his side if they're 2% of the Ohio fans because Ohio fans, TWP, we ride or die with LeBron, no matter what.
I mean, yeah, we saw what he did to Ohio's economy while here, and I'm sure he could do the same thing for the country's economy. He would be a great politician.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, guys, we are all witnesses. to this podcast and to everything.
That's the end of our spicy takes. Thanks for listening to the spicy hot takes at the end. You crazy little extra listener there. It's been a long time that you're still listening, and here you are still listening, so thank you.